We want to return now to our top story in the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accused Hamas of backtracking on elements of the deal, but Deputy National Security Advisor Jonathan Feiner joined us on CBS Mornings earlier and expressed confidence in the deal.
Well, what I can tell you is we fully expect the deal to proceed as described yesterday and on the timeline that we have laid out. So implementation beginning as soon as Sunday with a ceasefire and the release of the first hostages. What's being discussed now is what was described by the mediators yesterday when they announced the deal, which is a set of implementation details and conditions that are going to be a challenge throughout the implementation of this deal, which is going to extend well into the next administration. That is always an issue when you're talking about complex deals that have a number of facets and when you're talking about, frankly, two parties who have zero trust in each other.
I want to bring in CBS News contributor Robert Berger for more. So, Robert, what's the reaction that you're hearing in Israel as this deal is held up?
The best way to describe it here is mixed emotions, because this is just a partial deal. This is the first phase of a deal. Of course, everyone is delighted to see the possible release of 33 Israeli hostages. The problem is that there are an additional 65 Israeli hostages that are still being held in Gaza that are not part of this deal. And their fate is unclear. There's no guarantees that they're going to be returned home. That negotiation over the second phase is supposed to start in a couple of weeks, but the concern here in Israel is that this could drag on and on, just like the first phase. There's a lot of doubt also about whether Hamas would be really willing to release those remaining 65 hostages. So I would say there's a feeling of uncertainty, and also people not happy to see the release of Palestinian militants, hundreds that have been involved and convicted of deadly terrorist attacks on Israelis.
So could the reason that we're seeing concerns of the deal falling through, could that be the pushback from the far-right faction of Israel? We know that that's been a source of contention for a lot of folks. What are you hearing on the ground?
Yeah, for sure. There are actually two right-wing parties in the government, but one in particular led by Bezalel Smotrich, the Treasury Minister, far right, is very unhappy with this deal and actually threatening to quit the government, saying that, okay, we're okay with the first phase, but after that, he wants a guarantee from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that Israel would actually go back to war to destroy Hamas. That was, of course, one of the goals of the war, which has not been achieved. Perhaps Netanyahu will give some kind of verbal approval to that. He obviously can't do that publicly. The feeling is, though, and also there's a disagreement over some of the Palestinian prisoners. That's a disagreement with Hamas over which of these top militants might be released. But the feeling here is that probably today, sometime later today, these problems will get resolved, and Netanyahu will be able to convene the cabinet and approve the deal and then set the whole process in motion.
Robert, I know that in the reporting that I saw yesterday on the evening news and this morning on CBS Mornings, that the families of those hostages are incredibly hopeful that they will be able to see their loved ones. But from an outsider's perspective, when you look at the number of hostages that Hamas is holding, all innocent people, versus the number of prisoners that are being released. Now, I understand that there may be some prisoners who are in an Israeli prison for simply lobbing a rock at an Israeli soldier, but there are also actual criminals and terrorists in some of those prisons. Can you just give me the number of Palestinian prisoners that are expected to be released as part of this deal, and how people feel about that?
Okay, so in the first phase, about 1,000 Palestinian prisoners are going to be released in exchange for those 33 hostages. Of course, very lopsided numbers, but Israel is really famous for that. It's done it before, back in 2011, trading one Israeli soldier for 1,027 prisoners. including Yahya Sinwar, who became the leader of Hamas and orchestrated the October 7th terrorist attack. So there's obviously big concern about this, these releases, but it's something, I guess it's seen in Israel as the price you have to pay for that failure on October 7th when all of those hostages were taken into Gaza.
Indeed. All right, Robert Berger for us. Always great to have you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.